Welcome to another edition of Timwe Presents, in which we look at another KTANE Puzzle Plethora puzzle called 3x3 by Cloud Gaming. Now, this is a puzzle that had me quite stumped, so unfortunately my live solve of this is quite unwatchable. So I obtained the solution from other solvers who have solved it, and I'm going to walk you through it knowing how it works. Alright, so the first thing that I noticed when I first saw this is that these grids look very much like Mystic Square. Mystic Square is a module in which you have a 3x3 grid of numbers 1 to 8 and a blank, and it's like a sliding puzzle. Right, then I noticed the word light in the flavor text. Don't get too light-headed dealing with all these constellations. So I noticed the word light, and I noticed that the squares are black and light green, which reminds me of another KTANE module called Lights Out. Lights Out. This is a needy in which you're presented with a 3x3 grid of lights, which are either black or green, and you have to press buttons which will flip every adjacent square as well as the square that you clicked on, and the goal is to turn them all off. Alright, so we now have two different things that we can do with each 3x3 grid. We can either solve it as a Mystic Square sliding puzzle, or we can determine which buttons we need to press in order to solve it as a lights out puzzle. It turns out that neither of these is what you need to do. So let's keep reading the flavor text. Don't get too lightheaded dealing with all these constellations. Now this reminded me of Dealmaker, but unfortunately that's irrelevant. Dealmaker deals with calculation of numbers and unit conversion. It's quite clearly not relevant. And then there's constellations, which of course is also the name of a KTANE module. But what I didn't realize, although I could have figured it out by Googling, in fact, let me do this right now to show that by Googling you can actually find this. You will notice that constellation comes up. Of course, 3x3 comes up now, the puzzle that we're looking at, but let's ignore that. But if you scroll down a bit, ooh, I'm not actually getting what I expected. Let's try constellation in the singular. Bingo, okay, that's where we have it. Okay, so Mystic Square actually comes up. So that means that the word constellation occurs in this manual, and indeed it does. It refers to these the tables on the second page as constellations. Now, this was difficult for me personally to guess because I extremely rarely, if ever, use the second page when actually solving the module, which means that it's not at the forefront of my consciousness, right? I use the first page to find where the skull is, and then the rest can be done by the diffuser, who knows how to solve such a sliding puzzle. But these constellations can help to make Mystic Square easier to solve. So in order to determine which of these constellation applies, you'd calculate the sum of the numbers in each column and each row, and then figure out which row and which column has the greatest sum. So we're going to do that. I'm going to put these 3x3 grids into a spreadsheet. Okay, so now I'm going to change the font here to make this a little bit more readable. And now I'm going to use a formula to find the sum in each row. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this down, and this will give us all of the sums, including the ones between the grids, which obviously we don't want. Okay, and then let's also calculate the sums of the columns, which would be these three. There we go. And then we just put those underneath all of these. Okay, one more. There you go. And now we figure out what the correct constellation would be. And I'm going to put the correct constellation here. So for that purpose, I think I'm going to actually make a grid, a sort of visible grid shape. So let's actually do this. Copy and paste that here. So now they're all in the right places. Okay, So here we have the column, the rows are all same, and the biggest column is the left one. So we're looking at this constellation here. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4 arranged like this. But it will turn out that actually the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 are not important. So I'm going to put x's in here, and I'm going to use conditional formatting to make those x's black. So if the text is x, there we go. All right. So this is the actual shape that we want. Now here the middle row is the biggest and the middle column. So we're looking at this constellation, which is like a diamond shape. All right, let's do that. Okay. Let's see. Let's make sure that they're all consistent in terms of their font. All right. Now, you may rightly ask, where does lights out come into this? Because so far we haven't used lights out yet at all. So I'm going to take a copy of these columns, but then remove the x's. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, you know what, I'm going to start by taking the grid from the original puzzle, because each of these grids has green and black patterns. So I'm going to put that on the left, and then we put this on the right. There we go. Okay, let's do that. So here in the first pattern is like this, and then the second pattern is like this. The next pattern has all of them except for the top right. Then we have these. Then we have that. Then we have an upside down T-shape with something missing. Then we have that kind of arrangement. Here we have these. And then finally we have this. Okay. And now what we need to do, now is where the lights out comes in. See, the thing is, each of these squares from the Mystic Square constellation is basically a button to press. And the lights out rules say that every time you press a button, it flips each of the neighbors as well as the button. So we're going to have to do 4 presses, or 4 or 3 presses in each of these grids. So let's do that. With the top left pixel, we would be flipping this, this, and this. Then with the top middle, we'll be flipping this, this, and this. And then with the top right, we'll be flipping these. And then, of course, the middle one flips that. So that leaves us with another kind of shape. Now, at this point, when I did this, I was hoping that I would get letters and it would spell out something, or it might be something recognizable that I could use to, you know, because there's still this grid at the bottom that is very likely going to be indexes into some words. And I didn't recognize what this was, but we'll get to that later. If you already know what this is, then congratulations. All right, now we're going to flip. Okay, so the next thing that one might look at is, of course, the grid on the bottom, and this one has these sort of wooden brown kind of colorings. This is intended to hint at another module, specifically the module, the crafting table. The module itself has that brown coloration, color theme, color scheme. However, you will quickly notice that not all of the shapes that we found, for example, the right, so we have a T here in this table, so that would fit this shape here because we're probably looking at the lights. But this one here, this inverted T, oh yeah, that is actually here. All right. So, but anyway, long story short, not all of the patterns are in this manual. Right, here's an example. This one's not in this manual. So it turned out that what we needed to do is to actually look at the underlying thing where the crafting table is from, which is Minecraft. And now I don't know anything about Minecraft. I've never played it, and I don't know many people who do. But I was told that there are these crafting recipes, much like in the crafting table module. And we have some links here. So there are two tables of things that we can use. One is tools and the other one is armor. So let's look at tools first. And once again, we're looking at the white parts, right? The ones that are lit up. Okay, now some of these here change, but they only change the exact sort of things that are in it rather than the arrangement of the things. Alright, so here is a T-shape. So the actual T-shape, which is this one here, is apparently a pickaxe. Okay, I'm going to left align this column. Okay, what else can we find? Let's see. Okay. Aha, so the shears thing has this kind of arrangement, the two in the bottom. Okay, so I might have missed some here, but as I recall, most of them were on the armor page, so I'm gonna go to that page and probably find more of them there. Okay, so right off the bat, the first one, helmet, is right at the start, and then we have this arrangement here, which is boots, and then we have this sort of archway thing that is leggings. Okay, then we have okay, this arrangement is not in here. Let's quickly look under tool. It may potentially be here. I cannot find it. It's obviously possible that I may have, it might be hoe. It's possible, there it is, axe. It is actually axe. Oops, I meant to put that in here in the spreadsheet. Okay, then we have this kind of shape. So that is the hoe. See, I was going to say it could be that this was supposed to be the hoe and I just made a mistake. It's always possible that I might have just gotten one pixel wrong. Alright, let's, fishing rod is what this one here is. And then we have everything but the top middle. Yeah, I think that one's on the armor page, isn't it? Yep, that is a chest plate. Okay, and then finally, the obvious next step then is to go back to the puzzle, look at this grid, and use the indexes. So this has index 4, this has index 2, 5, 8, 3, 3, 2, 10, and 3. Alright, now I'm gonna zoom out of this page so that you can see all of this on one screen. If I increase the size of this column so that they don't overlap, and then here I use the letter from this at this index, then we see M, and of course all of the intervening cells go away, and you can easily see that the answer spells out Morse code. Okay, so I may have made a mistake here. The fishing, oh, I see, it's because the space obviously doesn't count as a letter, and that gives you Morse code. So looking at the answer code that we have, putting that into our answer checker, Morse code is indeed the correct answer. Alright, let's restore that zoom, and let's go back to the puzzle. So ladies and gentlemen, we've solved 3 by 3, or rather we've walked through 3 by 3. I've not really solved it myself, but thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video despite the fact that it wasn't a live solve, and hopefully next time I will see you again with potentially a live solve, but I make no promises. See you again at Timwe Presents.